You mentioned in your your youth and your father and your brother committing suicide. Is it okay if I just ask a
Oh,
quick
sure,
question
yeah,
about that?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
W- how because that's a really dramatic thing to experience. Like I had my sister pass away 10 years ago, actually a bit more now, and I know the devastation it definitely wrought on myself and the echoes through my family. But that's a different thing versus when a person takes their life.
Yeah.
And you were practicing your faith at the time. How did that impact your faith? Did it strengthen, weaken? Did it make you pull away? Like I'd imagine there must have been some sort of an impact with that.
No, I gotta tell you, I'm a little bit odd that way. And actually, it parts of my makeup, I think, have led to problems. So first off, I come from kind of Midwest Michigan German Catholic stock.
Mm,
And if you look into these people, they're just very quiet. They're very completely bound up with duty
mm,
and doing what they're supposed to do. They don't ask questions. They just take what comes and deal with it.
mm,
And that was born very deeply in me. And so my dad died first, and
mm,
that, that was a blow because my dad and I had a really special relationship.
mm,
But I mean, at some level, I just, I understood that that had to do with him and things around him. And, it was not not intended as an abandonment of me or anybody else. I felt mostly bad for my mom, who had told us once that she wanted one girl and got four boys, and then a husband who was gone a lot and then was really gone. So mostly I felt bad for mom. Um, so I tried to help her as best I could. And then my brother died because he felt like he contributed to dad's death.
gotcha.
And that was kind of it because I actually found my brother and it was not fun.
So sorry that you had to experience
But
that.
so I mean, I missed them a lot,
Mm,
but I never felt like I'd take it too personally because I don't think it was primarily about me. It's something that's given
yeah.
to me.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
understood that those people still existed. They're just at a place where I can't talk directly to them right
Mm,
now. And I'll
yes.
tell you that both of my kids have reported interactions with them. And I was a policeman a long time ago, and a friend of mine from the police department reached out to say that she had been talking to some psychic, and my dad interrupted her conversation to give me a message. And I, okay, sure. So I've always been confident that they're still around. It's
Yeah.
just, so I got to say that just, I guess with a good old German Catholic Midwest background, you don't question things too much, right? It would
It's
help
just,
sometimes if we did
yeah.
more, I think, but
Yeah,
we don't.
but I could see that. I guess a combination of that and being Catholic, where if you have
Yeah,
that very stoic side, and then as Catholics we're taught, in this life there is suffering. We need to learn how to
yeah.
suffer well. So I could definitely see how you were able to kind of continue forward and forge ahead, and then carrying that faith with you into policing. How long did you do that, and where?
In Dallas, Texas, I was a
Gotcha,
policeman for 4 years.
gotcha.
It was it was interesting because the policemen I worked with were, until I started working with St. Monica Institute, were really the best group of people I've worked with in my life.
Okay.
They got all kinds of criticism, but if you actually knew these people, the police department was very selective who it hired,
Hmm.
and they hired, I don't know how they did, but they hired good people. They were out there trying to help people. They were trying to make the world a better place. And when you get into shooting and your buddies come running towards you rather than running away, that builds a bond, right?
Absolutely.
So those guys were great. But it's funny too because I always felt I had an uncle, my dad's brother, who was killed at Okinawa in 1945, right at the tail end of the war. He went all the way through the war and was killed, like very at the very end of it. But I also always felt somehow connected to him, and I've decided, and this is maybe part of the reason I didn't feel too bad about Dad and Ernie, is because I always felt like George was at least partly my responsible for being my guardian angel. Like I got shot in the neck once when I was a cop, but it actually didn't really hurt me. It felt like I got hit in the neck with a baseball bat,
Oh,
but it was from the
which also
side.
doesn't sound very pleasant, Matthew.
Well, no, it wasn't, but it kind of came from the side and it
Yeah.
literally bounced off my neck into my shoulder. And it was hard enough that by the time I looked at my shoulder, I had it, a knot the size of an egg that was already black and blue. And I thought, oh boy, I must be in trouble. But I found a nearby motorcycle, looked in the rearview mirror, and it was just the same thing on my neck. So I always felt that my guardian had helped me with that.
Mm,
And I always felt like that went back to Uncle George.
hmm.
And so I already was prepared, for the idea that family members continue to look out for one another, right?
Yeah. Yeah.